Well, hello. How are you all today? I hope everybody's doing great. I just so enjoyed doing those videos yesterday, and I'm back today because I still want to make something sweet. Today, we're going to make peanut brittle. Peanut brittle has been important in my family for a long time. After my dad retired, he was a Marita bread man for all my life until he retired. And when he did, he became the candy maker at my parents' house. And he made all kinds of different things, and we'll do some of those other things later. But peanut brittle was one of them. And he would fill up great big plastic mayonnaise jars with peanut brittle. So when all of us came to visit, we all went home with peanut brittle, and it's a favorite memory of mine from my dad. So I practiced and learned to make it. It's really not hard. There's a process that goes with it, and we'll go into that a little more when we get to the actual cooking stage. But it's a fun thing to make, it's a fun thing to share with others. The holidays are going to be coming up before we know it, and it's a great thing to give away as gifts and cute little bags and all kinds of different things. So I thought we would do that today. It's not a long process, but it's one you have to watch. So I'm going to walk over to the kitchen and show you what we need to make this candy, and then we'll start the cooking process. See you back in just a minute. Before we start, I'm going to kind of walk you through the process and show you the ingredients that we will need to make this delicious, delicious candy. So the first thing we're going to use is a cup of granulated sugar. And I have it in one of my beautiful Polish pottery bowls. So a cup of just plain white granulated sugar. We'll need that. We will need half a cup of white karo syrup, and I'm using that measuring cup like I showed you yesterday. So it's a lot easier to get out when you have this. You can just push it up and it goes straight into the pot. I forgot to mention you also need a very heavy bottomed pot for this. Obviously not as big as the one we used for the fudge, but still a very heavy bottom because it's going to cook a long time, and it needs to have a heavy bottom so it won't overheat. We will use a heaping cup of peanuts. You can also use pecans, you can use cashew nuts, you can use Brazil nuts, you can use cashew, you can use any kind of nuts that you'd like to use. The traditional brittle is made with peanuts. I order mine from Amazon, I order them in big bags, and I buy raw peanuts because they need to cook in this hot syrup. Some people use roasted, some people use all different kinds. I use raw peanuts, and they cook while the syrup boils, and they're crispy and crunchy when you get them in the brittle. We'll also need a fourth of a cup of water. Now, this is a time that I want to talk about my method of measuring. I think there's a difference in measuring dry measuring things and measuring liquid measuring things. I have a really good friend. She's a math whiz. She says, Linda, a fourth of a cup is a fourth of a cup. It's a fourth of a cup. It doesn't matter what kind of cup you measure it in. But I was taught that you use a dry measuring cup for dry ingredients and a liquid measuring cup for liquid ingredients. And I'm too old to change. So that's the way I do it. I will also use my candy thermometer. I forgot to mention this little gadget yesterday. This candy thermometer needs to go in here, but there's no way for it to stand up. So this slides down on this pan on the side, if you can see that, how it slides on there, and then the candy thermometer hooks in there and it lets it stand up straight. A candy thermometer does not need to touch the bottom of the pan that you're cooking in, because then it measures the temperature of the bottom of the pan, not the temperature of the syrup that you're cooking. So I'll use my candy thermometer. When it finishes boiling, there'll be ingredients to add. At that time, we will add a teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, baking soda, and two tablespoons of butter, but that goes in at the end. So I'm going to set it by the stove so it'll be ready when the syrup gets through. When it gets finished and we've added those ingredients, we will pour it out on a slightly sprayed with nonstick spray cookie sheet. with parchment paper on top where it will harden. And then we can break it up into those really cool little pieces that peanut brittle comes in. So we'll be doing that in a little while. It doesn't take very long for it to harden, and then you can break it up. We'll put it in something. I'll show you one of the bags and the ribbon I use to bag it up in when I take it and sell it, or when I give it away as gifts. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. I'll show you when we start to cook these ingredients on the stove. Okay, I want you to see this syrup. It has made it to 169 degrees, and the first number that we want to reach is 200. When it gets to 200 and it's almost there, then we will add the peanuts. In fact, it's time right now. So I'm going to pour in these peanuts, and they will cool the temperature down again. And then it will start to boil again, and then we wait for it to get to the magic number of 300. So I'm going to let it boil, and I'll bring you back when it gets to 300 degrees. All right, our candy thermometer is at 297. You can see this mixture has gotten very thick and caramel colored, and it's almost to 300. Don't get impatient. It has to get all the way to 300 degrees before you can take it off and put the last ingredients in there. So we're at 299, 300. I'm going to move it off the heat. Take the candy thermometer out. I'm going to add my butter, and you can only imagine how quickly this butter will melt in this 300 degree syrup. And watch this. This is when the magic happens. We're going to put in that teaspoon of baking soda and watch the science happen. Look at that. So I'm just going to stir this. Look at how white and frothy it has gotten. As soon as that butter melts, we're going to take it and pour it up. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, here we go. We're pouring it into the pan. You can see those little bubbles in there and how it's already starting to form what will be a very, very crunchy brittle. I'm going to go right now and put this in the sink and put water in it. If I don't, you'll never get your pan clean. So that is an important tip, to make sure you put water in your pan. Now I'm going to take my spoon. You can already see that doesn't look very pretty, but it's going to even out, and it will harden, and we'll be able to break it into very, very neat little pieces in about 10 or 15 minutes. Get a good look at that, and remember what it looks like and what it will look like when it's finished, and we can do our taste test. I'll be back soon.
Well, folks, we had our first epic fail, and we had to remake the candy, but that's going to happen when we cook and bake. Things don't always turn out as we think they will. But this batch is great, and it's hardening, and in just a few minutes, we'll break it up. In fact, it's hard enough to break. We're going to break it into those beautiful little pieces, and then I'll show you how I bag it and ribbon it when I'm getting ready to take it to market to sell, or to give as gifts to people. I hope you will enjoy making this recipe because it's so delicious. As you can see, it breaks easily into whatever size pieces you would like for it to be. So as you can see, we're getting ready to put it in bags. I use what I buy as bread bags, but I use those. I can do it in half-pound bags. If I'm giving it as a gift, I just make it as full as I would like. And it goes in there, and you can see it, and it just looks really pretty. So I'm putting some in this bag right now. And then my signature color ribbon is sage green. So I put green ribbon on everything I do, but you can do it however. If it's holiday, use holiday ribbon, whatever you would like to use. I typically then cut the top off so there's not so much plastic at the top. And then my bags are ready. If I'm going to market, I label them and do all those kind of things. But this one's just for a gift. So there it is. And now we're going to taste. Look at this delicious candy. It is so good. I hope you're having a great day and that something sweet will happen to you today.